Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Legacy Education. In today's lesson, we will be focusing on integumentary coding, specifically how to properly report excisions of skin lesions using CPT codes. This is a critical area not just for exam prep, but also for real-world coding accuracy. We'll walk through how to differentiate between benign and malignant lesions, how to code the excise diameter, and what documentation is required to select the correct code. We'll also talk about common mistakes, tips for sequencing multiple procedures, and when modifiers like 51 or 59 may be appropriate. Whether you're studying for your CPC or just looking to sharpen your dermatology's coding skills, this lesson will give you the tools that you need to feel confident. Let's get started. For this scenario, the patient presents for removal of two bothersome skin lesions, both appearing benign. After discussing the risks and obtaining informed consent, the area was cleansed and local anesthesia was administered using 1% lidocaine with epinephrine. Lesion number 1, located on the upper back, is a 1 centimeter lesion that is excised with 0.3 centimeter margins, resulting in a total excise diameter of 1.6 centimeters. The closure was performed using layered sutures due to the depth of the excision. For lesion number 2, located on the forearm, this is a 1.8 centimeter lesion that is excised with 0.4 centimeter margins, resulting in a total excise diameter of 2.6 centimeters. And simple closure is performed for this lesion. Both specimens are sent to pathology for evaluation, and the pathology report has been returned, indicating that they are both benign nevi. The first thing to look at in this scenario is the reason for the procedure or the condition. This will be represented by an ICD-10-CM code. We want to look at the condition before the procedure because when we are coding for the excision of lesions, we need to know whether the lesion is malignant or benign. We do have results back from pathology indicating that the lesions are benign nevi, which are non-malignant lesions. So let's look up the appropriate ICD-10-CM code. Before we go to the alphabetic index, we need to locate not only the behavior of the lesion, but we need to identify the anatomic location. The anatomic locations are the upper back and the left forearm. The first step is to identify our main term. Benign is our behavior, therefore nevi is going to be our main term. Nevi is the plural form of a nevus. So pause this recording if you need time to locate main term nevus in the alphabetic index. Under the main term nevus, you can see that there are multiple options. While the anatomic location is on the forearm and the trunk, we need to narrow it down more to the skin of the forearm and the trunk. After looking under the skin sub-entry, we can now find the code for the forearm and for the trunk. For the forearm, we will choose code D22.6, and we need to make note that there is an additional character that is required. For the back, we have code D22.5. We need to jot these two codes down, and we can jump back to the tabular list to verify those codes. Now that we've located D22.6, we need to select our fifth character. Jumping back to our scenario, we see that the lesion is on the forearm and it is located on the left side. So the correct code for the left side will be D22.62. Before we move on to the next code, we should also check the beginning of category D22 to make sure that there are not any important notes that we should take into consideration. For this category, we have no exclusion notes, use additional code notes, or code first notes. So now we can move on to our next code. If we remember from the alphabetic index, the next code for the nevus of the upper back is D22.5. So D22.5 states that this is of the trunk. The trunk is the central part of the body, and that includes the chest and the back. So we've already confirmed that there are no exclusion, use additional code, or code first notes. At the beginning of the code block, that includes both D22.5 and D22.62, we can see that the codes fall within the range D10 through D36, and this indicates that they are benign neoplasms. So this will be important for our next step. Now that we found our ICD-10-CM codes for both the nevi, we can move on to coding for the procedures that are performed. For this scenario, the provider is removing the nevi. They go on further to tell us that they are excising the lesions. In the CPT manual, we will want to look up the action word or the procedure that is being performed. In this instance, excision will be our main term. For this scenario, we are doing an excision of a skin lesion, so our sub-entry will be skin. Remember, a nevus is located in the benign neoplasm code block within ICD-10-CM. Therefore, we will choose the benign listing. You can see that the excision codes are arranged by anatomic groupings. This code family is grouped by trunk, arms, and legs. Both of our lesions fall in this family since we have the upper back and the left forearm. The guidelines for the excision of benign lesions instruct us to report separately each benign lesion that is excised. Now that we know that we can report each of the excisions separately, we next need to determine the size of the lesions, including the margins. We see in the documentation that the lesion on the upper back has a total diameter of 1.6 centimeters, and the lesion on the left forearm has a total excised diameter of 2.6 centimeters. For the lesion on the upper back, we need to find the code that correlates with 1.6 centimeters. The CPT code for the excision of lesion on the upper back would be 11402 for the excised diameter of 1.1 to 2.0 centimeters. And the CPT code for the excision of the lesion of the left forearm would be 11603 for an excised diameter of 2.1 to 3.0 centimeters. Next, we need to consider the type of closures that are done. You can see that for the lesion on the upper back, a layered closure is performed. And then for the left forearm, a simple closure is performed. According to our guidelines, intermediate and complex closures should be reported separately. And the guidelines go on to tell us the code ranges that we should turn to. So now let's go look at 12031 through 12057 for the intermediate closure. As you can see again with repairs, our codes are going to be grouped by anatomic sites. Let's find the grouping that lists the upper back, or in this instance, the trunk. So we should be in the family for 12031. Now that we have found the correct code family, we need to locate the size of the repair that is performed. Our documentation does not tell us that the repair is any larger than the excised diameter. Therefore, we will use the excised diameter of 1.6 centimeters for the size of the closure as well. Looking at the group again, which code do you think we should use for the 1.6 centimeter closure? You should choose code 12031 for the intermediate repair of 1.6 centimeters. Now that we have all of our codes, we need to determine the correct sequencing and then apply modifiers as applicable. According to our CPT guidelines, the sequencing of the CPT codes should be based on the RVU or the complexity of the procedure. These RVU values are assigned by CMS and can be found on their website. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will just provide the RVUs for these codes. CPT code 11402 has an RVU of 5.16. 11403 has an RVU of 5.97, and 12031 has an RVU of 7.82. Therefore, CPT 12031 should be sequenced first, followed by 11403, followed by 11402. So this would be the correct sequencing. The next thing to consider is modifiers. There are a few procedures that we've done today, and the repair is the primary code, therefore no modifier is needed. 11403 is a multiple procedure, therefore we should add modifier 51. And this separate excision is done on a separate lesion, therefore we need a modifier 59. Now let's add the diagnosis codes. Since both nevi are the reason for the encounter, there is no need to sequence one in front of the other. This exercise is a great practice scenario for interpreting guidelines, applying modifiers, and determining sequencing. Do you have any questions about this scenario? Comment below and we'll get back with you very shortly. Make sure to share this example with your friends and to subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified of any future videos that are published.